Hello. Today we're going to talk about working with strings in JavaScript. So here we go. What is a string? A string is a simple data type in JavaScript that's used to store a set of characters. This can be a very small set of characters, such as a word, and it can be a long set of characters, such as a sentence or a paragraph. You can store a combination of numbers and letters. Just keep in mind that you don't want to use a string to store any numbers that you're going to want to perform mathematical operations with. Okay, so string syntax. You must use either a single or double quote when assigning a value to your string. So either of these work. In this first example we have double quotes, and in the bottom example we have single quotes. Now you might want to know, why do I have two options? Because you want to make sure that you're not using a combination of quotes that are similar inside of the value of the variable. So if you have a single quote that's part of the variable value, then I would recommend using double quotes on the outside. If you have a double quote on the inside and double quotes on the outside, it's going to produce a syntax error, because JavaScript is going to think that you're assigning a variable that would be like she said, and then that you're going into another statement without using the proper syntax. So you can use a combination and kind of mix and match. As long as the outside quotations are the same, you can use a different inside quotation as part of your variable value. Another way that you might want to work with the quotation problem, if you really want to have a double quotation on the outside and you have double quotations as part of the value of your variable, you can use an escape character, which is the backslash. You just need to make sure to put that backslash in right before your quotation will show up, directly in front of it, and it will tell JavaScript that skip over this one. Okay, skip over this one. Save it, but this is not this is not a closing quotation for variable assignment. Okay, if you want to output a variable with some additional text, you can use the plus operator to kind of concatenate these two together. So in this example code, I have a variable called name with the value Jon Snow in it, and then in this statement I'm alerting that name, so Jon Snow, and then I'm doing a plus to combine it with the rest of this text. So note that I have a comma because I wanted to say Jon Snow, comma, space, winter is coming in the alert box. So you can use that plus operator to create a even longer string that will kind of store different variables plus any text that you might have together. Here's another example. If you have something like two variables, first name and last name, and you want to create a third variable called full name by combining the values together, you can use the plus operator here to combine them together. Also note, because John doesn't have a space after it where I saved it, if I just combined it first name plus last name, I would get Jon Snow with no space in between. So I'm doing a concatenation with a single space, and then I'm concatenating again with the last name variable. Okay, so that is how you would output that. Just keep in mind that things aren't automatically going to have space between them. You'll have to tell the system to do that. Okay, another thing that you can do that's really cool is you can access an individual character of a string. So you can say, what is the value of the second index of this string? So for example, if I had Jon Snow as my value, what I would want to do, let me show you. So here's John. The J is actually the index position 0, and then 1 would be O, 2 would be N. So if I was to do something like this, console log name for the second position, this is the index 2, that's going to return an n. Okay, so remember, in the index of a string, just like an array, it starts at 0. Okay, another one that you're probably going to use often is the string method called length. And length will return how many characters are in that particular variable. So again, here's my example. Name equals Jon Snow with a space, and when I output what the name dot length is, it's going to give me 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's counting your spaces too. Okay, so that's how many characters are in name. Another cool one is slice, and slice returns a subset of a larger string. So for example, if I just wanted to cut off the first three characters, I could pass it the starting index of 0 up to the ending index. So I'm passing it 0 and 3, and that's bringing me the first 3 characters here in my my string. You can pass it, you don't have to start with 0. You can, you could pass it like 4 through 8 to get the last 4. Okay, similar to slice is substring, and substring, instead of passing it the starting and ending position, you pass it the starting position and how many characters you want it to go. So in this example, it's very similar because we're starting at 0, so 0, 3 is going to still give us John. If you don't pass it the 2 numbers, it's going to automatically assume that the number you put in here is where you want it to start. So it's going to start at 4 and then go to the very end. So it's starting at 4, and just so happens in this example that the last 4 characters also are snow. But this is actually the 4 for the position of where it should start with the substring. Another really cool one is split. So split will break apart a string based on the character you specify. So if you have a bunch of words, one after another, and you want to store those words individually to an array, you can split your string apart using the space character and save all of the words to an array, which is a list element. So let me give you an example here. So I put some sentences quotes by Samwell in Game of Thrones. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 sentences here, and what I did was I created a new variable. This is an array, and I'm using the split method, and I'm telling it to split on period space so that I can get the sentences. And then I'm outputting, because this should have come back with 4 elements. Sam words 0 would be they were touched by White Walkers. Sam words 1 would be that's why they came back. Sam words 2, index 2, that's why their eyes turned blue. And Sam words 3 would give us only fire would stop them. So I output Sam words 1, and my original variable is still there, but now I have a new array that has all these sentences in them. This will be helpful, especially if you want to take like a sentence or a list of words that you have stored and alphabetize them. You can split them, and you can then access the array options and methods that you can use. Another really cool one is indexOf. So if you want to search to see if your string contains a character or a set of characters, you can use indexOf. When you use indexOf, it's going to return the position of the first instance that it finds. So if it doesn't find it, it's going to give you a -1. So let's say I was, doing indexOf the word they. It's going to find the word they at position 0 at the beginning, and it's going to return, indexOf would return a 0 because it was found. And if I did something like the color green, the word green, it's going to come back with a -1 because there's no green in this example. Similar to indexOf, there is a one called lastIndexOf, which will give you the last instance of that character or the position that it was looking for. If it doesn't find it, again, it will give you -1. Now keep in mind that indexOf and lastIndexOf are case sensitive. So for example, if I said find the first instance of they in lowercase, it's going to overlook the capital they in the beginning, and it's going to return me the position of they in this sentence here. Okay, so keep that in mind. Here's an example. So here it's doing the index of the word fire, and fire is right here. It comes back with a position of 103. We're not going to count that out. We're going to assume that that's correct. And then we're going to do the last index of they. It's going to come back with 47. This actually, if I did index of, would come back with 47 as well. So 47 would be the answer for both of these, because this is technically the only they here, even though I have a capital T. And lastly, we're going to talk about combining case. So if I have something, this is useful especially when you're searching. Perhaps you want to search for a particular phrase and you want it to match case sensitivity. You can always convert things to uppercase and then search for that uppercase value. So for example, if I had my Jon Snow variable and I converted it to uppercase, it's going to change it to Jon Snow now. So you can use that toUpperCase and then search for your string in toUpperCase to match that, or you do the same thing with toLowerCase. You don't have to necessarily change it. You can use this as part of your search statement. Okay, so let's go ahead and try some of these out. And I've got my CodePen window up here, and let's see what we have here. So here is our Jon Snow, and we're combining it with our first name, last name, and here we go with Jon Snow. If I wanted to put something else in here, I could do I really like, put a space in there, and then use my plus to concatenate this whole group together. Okay, and then let's do console.log full name .index of, let's try to find, whoops, not life, like. So it's giving us like is found at position 9. So let's count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go, position 9. If I want to look for the word Jamie, there is no Jamie, so I get a -1. So that's giving me information that does not exist. All right, let's scroll down here to my Samuel, and let me just comment out my console log here, and let me clear. Okay, so here is my 4 sentences, and we're going to, there are my indexOfs. Okay, I went ahead and did some coding to make this work with the case sensitivity. So here's my variable Samuel, my sentences, and then what I'm doing here is I'm combining the methods toUpperCase and indexOf. So stay with me here. This is the term I'm searching for, they, and what I'm doing is I'm applying the toUpperCase method. Okay, so these parentheses belong to the toUpperCase method. This is the value I'm looking for, which is inside of this indexOf parentheses, which this final parenthesis is the output for the console log. So what I'm doing in the first part is instead of just passing it the variable name, I'm also using the toUpperCase with the parentheses. So what that's going to do is it's going to first convert this whole line to uppercase letters, and then it's going to find the index of, or the first one of they, but in all uppercase. And so that gives me a 0. And then what I'm doing in the second one is I'm doing the same exact thing, but I'm using the lastIndexOf, which is the second version of they, which is right here, which is coming back as 47. So again, remember it was skipping over the first they because of the case sensitivity. So here, this is an example of combining two methods together to get the correct output that you're looking for there. Okay, so that is an introduction into how to work with strings, and there's so many different things that we can do with strings and different character values. So go ahead and play around with some of the examples in this activity, and we will continue learning about data types in the next video. Thanks. Bye.